Le domande. E il blocco? Tutto bene?
Sì. Welcome back. Welcome back. We have our last session for today, and we're actually welcoming back some of the participants of the other parallel session, which are already finished, and I have the pleasure to have as co-chair with me Mr. Bob Reeves. You all know, of course, that tomorrow afternoon there is a big game, although it's a friendly game. Italy against the United States, soccer. So. Italy shouldn't laugh because I think the United States may be surprising tomorrow. So, before introducing the two speakers, I'd like to come back to what Jeff said before. In this session, we would like to, of course, listen to the two presentations, and also at the same time think of with you and with the meeting, what could be the way forward and what are the issues that came out in these last 2 days that tomorrow we can consolidate in a final, I wouldn't say statement, but in a final conclusion of the conference. So while you think that, we can listen to the two presenters. The first one is going to be Antonio Esposito. Well, we are 3 Italians on the same table. Antonio Esposito is the member of the board of IPEX, and also, at the same time, of course, you are first department officer of the Chamber of Deputies of Italy. So I first give the floor to you.
I'm half Italian.
And he's half Italian, so we are 3.5 Italian on this panel. So, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Gerardo Cassini for inviting me to give you this presentation. As you can imagine, I'm not an XML expert. I'm not an IT expert. My task was to push the initiative on common standards for digital data and documents in the EU parliaments at the higher administrative and political level within the framework of the EU interparliamentary cooperation. My task today is to present the survey on common standards, which was approved by the Secretaries General of the European Union parliaments, European Parliament plus 27 national parliaments, a few weeks ago on the 6th of February in Warsaw. This survey was prepared for implementing a mandate given 2 years ago by the speakers of the European Union parliaments to the IPEX board. In a few minutes, I will tell you what IPEX is. Let me stress, before focusing on the survey, that the speakers' initiative and the Secretary General conclusion are very important, are a first step for the first time all over Europe towards the creation, the establishment of common standards at European level for digital data and documents, parliamentary documents, and hopefully also EU institutions and national governments' documents. So I hope that the survey would be a milestone in this long-term process for standardization. That's why I'm here today. So, I would just like to
Let's put that on full screen. Okay.
yeah. Thank you. A few words about the main steps, the background, the political and administrative background of the survey. The survey, as I already said, has been prepared for implementing a mandate of the EU Speakers Conference in Stockholm in May 2010. The EU speakers meet once a year and take important political decisions concerning the cooperation among the parliaments within the European Union. The mandate of the EU Speakers Conference was a, let me stress, success of the Italian Parliament, was an initiative taken by the speakers and the deputy speakers of both the Italian chambers, and which was unanimously approved by the other speakers. For implementing the mandate of the speakers, the IPEX Board and Central Support prepared in 2011 a questionnaire which was sent to all the 27 national parliaments of the European Union, 40 chambers, taking into account that some parliaments are bicameral, and to the European Parliament. On the basis of the answers of the 32 parliamentary chambers and of the European Parliament, the IPEX Board and Central Support submitted to the Secretary General in February, a few weeks ago, the survey. The mandate of the EU Speakers Conference in April 2010 was quite broad. I, of course, prefer to invite you to read the full mandate. The speakers encourage all the initiatives aimed at establishing standards for digital data and documents so as to make information on activities of parliaments and European Union institutions more easily accessible and transparent, and entrust, to this end, the IPEX board with this task. The goals of the speakers' initiatives, the goals behind the wording I have referred to, were the following. First, the first goal was to allow the speakers, who are not experts, of course, to assess the state of art in the standardization of parliamentary documents in the European Union. Secondly, allow the speakers to better evaluate the costs and the potential benefits of further improvements and investments in this field, in the field of standardization. Third, using this initiative as a driver toward further standardization initiative and processes in national institutions' domains. So also pushing the national governments to adopt initiatives towards standardization. Why the IPEX board was entrusted with the mandate to prepare the survey? Let me give you a few information about the IPEX project, the IPEX system. IPEX is the Interparliamentary EU Information Exchange, a project which was launched by the Speakers Conference in Rome in 2000. Since 2006, IPEX created a platform which supports interparliamentary cooperation in the European Union by providing a platform for electronic exchange of information mainly about the EU-related activities of all the national parliaments. The IPEX website you can easily access, you have the address here, contains a database for the exchange of information about the parliamentary scrutiny of EU affairs, notably, in particular, with reference to the subsidiarity principle. This is a new power of national parliaments created by the Lisbon Treaty, a treaty which was adopted in 2009, which introduced significant changes in the original European and community treaties. A calendar of all the interparliamentary meetings in the European Union, forums for the exchange of views and information among parliamentary officials, a news section, and in addition, IPEX hosts the website of the European Union Speakers Conference. I don't want to focus on IPEX too much, but of course, if you have questions, do not hesitate after our presentation to ask me. I just want to point out that IPEX, for taking into account the mandate and the services it offers, is managed by some permanent bodies, a board, a central support, and in addition it has a correspondent in all the 27 national parliaments and in the European Parliament, as well as an information officer, a staff unit specific devoted to managing the IPEX website. IPEX is the most successful project of interparliamentary cooperation all over the European Union. It's a very reliable and very useful website for allowing national parliaments to better performing the tasks which are conferred upon them by the European treaties. And in addition, IPEX has got a unique know-how in the use of IT for interparliamentary cooperation. That's why the Speakers Conference decided to confer upon the IPEX board the responsibility to prepare a survey on common standards for digital data and documents. The survey, as I already said, was prepared on the basis of a questionnaire sent to all the national parliaments. The replies were provided by 32 parliamentary assemblies out of 40, of 23 out of 27 member states of the European Union, plus the European Parliament. The survey, the questionnaire and then the survey, focused on two items. First, use of XML, sorry for the mistake, in the national parliaments and in the European parliaments, in the European Parliament. Second, use of thesaurus-based classification for parliamentary documents and data. What are the main findings of the survey? Concerning the use of XML, the topic I suppose you are interested in mostly, 14 parliaments or chambers, the European Parliament and 13 national chambers, use XML for some parliamentary and or legislative documents. I have listed some examples here. 12 parliament chambers, the European Parliament plus 11 national chambers, plan to introduce XML markup for additional parliamentary documents or series and documents. Most parliaments use, and this is an important point, their own proprietary format. But 13 parliament chambers are very interested in making their XML documents compatible with XML documents produced by other parliaments or institutions at national or at European level. Then, and I invite you to focus on this finding, most of those parliaments require that a common standard is established to this end. This is quite important. Two parliaments, let me to refer to the Italian Senate and the European Parliament, have envisaged expressly that the Accomatoso International Standard is used to this end. While 7 parliament chambers underline that the only project all over Europe for sharing parliamentary documents or information in open XML is the IPEX XML project. IPEX XML project is an interface created by the IPEX Central Support for allowing the national parliaments to feed up their sections in the IPEX website with a in a semi-automatic way. This interface allows national parliaments to feed IPEX on the basis of their own databases or websites in order to avoid duplication. Concerning the thesaurus-based classification, I would just stress that 19 parliament chambers already use a thesaurus-based classification system, and 15 parliament chambers use to this end Eurovoc, which I suppose most of you already know is a system used by European institutions for the EU documents, and of course a lot of national parliaments are also using it. What are the conclusions of the survey based on the figures I have just recalled? First, almost all the European parliaments, national parliaments and European Parliament are aware of the importance of the standardization of parliamentary as well as of legislative documents for promoting transparency, accessibility and accountability. A significant number of parliaments are interested in sharing documents in open format with other parliaments and institutions, as well as in using a thesaurus share with several parliaments. However, this is an important point, only some parliaments have been able up to now to develop tools and systems for using open standards and thesaurus-based classification. That's why it's essential the exchange of experience, information, and know-how on open standards. The open standards, in addition, could allow national parliaments in the current financial and economic crisis context to save relevant financial resources by using and reusing digital documents. To this end, this is the final conclusion of the survey, is essential to create a unique information point on digital standardization at parliamentary level, where each parliament can obtain updated information about the applications implemented and the project developed in other parliaments or institutions. In order to establish this unique contact point, the survey suggested that to explore the possibility of, first, the possibility of sharing common open standards and Eurovoc for the scrutiny of European affairs within the IPEX website. And on the basis of the conclusions set out in the survey, as I already recalled, the Secretary General of the European Parliament, so the highest administrative level of all the 27 national parliaments plus the European Parliament, agreed on two important conclusions. First, starting a cooperation among the European Union parliaments and the European Union institutions, as well as the ECPRD and the Global Center, in order to act as a unique information point on digital standardization. Secondly, to explore the possibility of sharing a common open format standard using the Eurovoc thesaurus for parliamentary documents concerning the scrutiny of European Union affairs. What are the next steps? Of course, the IPEX board has to implement mandate conferred upon it by the Secretary General. To this end, in a few, I suppose in the first half of this year, the IPEX board will contact the CPRD, the Global Center, for establishing common initiatives for acting as a global information point. But this is my personal opinion, I suppose that the IPEX board, the Global Center, and ECPRD could also involve experts from, of course, academicians as well as NGOs in this process. Secondly, we will manage, the Secretary General and the official dealing with European affairs, has to ask the next European Union Speakers Conference in Warsaw in April, will reiterate expressly the speakers, so the highest political level support to the initiatives aimed at finding common standards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you have to trade places. I knew it was coming for these next steps for us, but and I'm a little bit worried about the final conclusions of the of the speakers conference in Poland. But I now would like to give the floor to Monica Palmirani. Monica Palmirani is a member of the LegalXML member section steering committee of OASIS, and as well associate professor of the Faculty of Law of the University of Bologna. Please, Monica.
Thank you very much, Mr. Casini, and thank you for inviting me to present a new initiative concerning Accomantoso and OASIS. Before talking you the initiative that see Accomantoso enter inside of OASIS. OASIS is a no-profit international body of standardization. Let me introduce a little bit the main principle and pillar of Accomantoso. So Accomantoso is a project founded and sponsored, and the main idea came from UN in 2005, and the name of the standard devoted to model parliamentary documentation, legislative documentation, judiciary documentation, and general document concerning the legal domain as a name of Accomantoso, because the project started in favor to the African parliaments. So the Accomantoso word means linked arts, and we are quite proud to maintain this name also inside of OASIS. So let me show this kind picture that my friend Thomas Bruce sent to me, and is a quite a nice picture how complex is a legislative process in each parliament. And each parliament, say, has, during our experience, oh, my legislative process is so complex and so different respect the other. So our goal inside Documentoso was and is to model legislative and parliamentary process, taking consideration all the kind of documents around this complex process. So we have a sub-schema inside of the main picture of Documentoso for modeling bills, committee reports, amendments, again, order of the day, motion, question, petition, and speech, answers, voting report, and so on. So any kind of documentation of parliamentary activity was modeled, taking consideration not only the 53 reality, the 53 parliaments in Africa, but also Latin America, and Canada. We study a lot about the Canada system, and also Australia, because we have take inspiration also from team. So our our point of reference for the beginning. Since the beginning, and acts, official gazette, so document collection that is composed by different documents. And we have also taken care judgments, modeling, jurisprudence, book, journal about legal domain, and in future, not now, also contracts. So this is a picture of the documents that Documentoso can model in deep. So, as we have said in the panel before, XML itself is not a guarantee of transparency. Sometimes XML is just a data exchange format between databases. Oracle manages XML in a beautiful way, but is not legal-oriented, is not document-oriented. Our approach inside Documentoso is document-oriented for preserving the legal meaning of the structure of the document. So for us, transparency means, first of all, to have a standard that clearly divides the metadata put by editors, by a library from the content that originally the authority approved, the parliament approved. So a way to achieve the transparency is to divide clearly the metadata and the content. It is really a good point for the citizen to know when they open XML what is put on the top by the system, by the protocols of the computers, and what is the real content approved and voted by the parliament. We taking care also the life cycle of the document, because we believe that it's important to track inside of the document the events, the workflow, the modification of the document. We're taking care also to connect each other, the information inside of the document. I have some example after. Sometimes there are legal information not well connected inside of the document, but if we are able to connect each other, we can create a new knowledge, a new legal knowledge. It is a goal of Documentoso. Long-term preservation for legal validity, not only for data preservation, for accessibility, but also legal validity. And we have also a topic, a key topic concerning open data. We would like to provide a model for open data, not manipulated by the public administration, but really to preserve the content of the data, not modified by a proprietary or by the administration. Finally, not final, but another point is a multilingual. We have this is a very key point for us, because in Africa there are plenty of languages, but also European Parliament manage 26 languages. And finally, we have also a particular attention to the privacy and liability issue, especially in the judiciary. Documentation is a hot topic to anonymize sometime child data, child information concerning person, people, and so on. Let me explain with an example. This is a part of the debate, original text, and this is an XML modeling of this part of the text. You can recognize a little bit the structure. So we have a question from Mr. Koffa. Mr. Koffa is a metadata that is included in an attribute and is it connected in the part of the metadata to a part of the ontology, or if the Parliament doesn't use ontology, simply to the record inside of the database concerning Mr. Koffa. So we can join information, connect each other part of information from text to the metadata. Another example, this is a speech inside of a debate document, answered. We have a motion. After the motion, there is the voting section. The voting section inside of the answer is a recap with a sentence with the total number of voting in favor and against the motion. And these two parts of the document are far away. Sometimes there is a motion and 10 pages of other motions, and finally, after other 10 pages, the voting. So are really far away. Nothing lead us to connect each other. So in the metadata, we have the metadata for connecting each other, and there is a voting section that connects the debates, is approved, you can outcome event, approved by a quorum and by the voting number that is connected in the text. So through the metadata, I can create a new knowledge, or better, discover knowledge inside of the text and connect parts that are far away inside of the document. Another point is the long-term persistency, a preservation. This is a Bologna manuscript of 11th century. Is a foundation of the modern law. Is a Irnerio manuscript, and in the middle you can see the Justinian code, the original text, and the glossa, the annotation of Accursio. If you notice, is a notation separated by the content. So this is a perfect metaphor of what we would like to achieve, a really separation of what we say on the top of the content, not mixed together. And finally, presentation with the pictures, colors, is a nice presentation, but it's a different way, respect the content and respect the annotation. So this is what we would like to do with the Commentoso. So we have a block of metadata on the top, separated by the content that eventually we can sign with digital signature for validity, for legal validity, and eventually also attachment for the process, for the workflow, for other purposes. Okay, success cases of a Commentoso. The first was Brazil. We thanks our friend, friends of Brazil that customized as first a Commentoso in Portuguese. European Parliament that is adopted a Commentoso for managing amendments of bills. Uruguay that start the 1st March, a new project for modeling life cycle of bill. California state law converted by grant, thanks in a Commentoso. Kenya law report that is converted and exported in a Commentoso, the legacy system, legacy database. Senate of Italy that is now planning to convert bill and debates in a Commentoso, and also finally South Africa Parliament. So from this pilot case or real case use of a Commentoso come a request, a strong request, to move a Commentoso in a body for a robust governance, in order to guarantee to the customer a real, not persistent, not volatile legal document XML standard. So the problem of the first parliament that adopted a comma was how long resist without a robust governance and a body that taking care, the maintaining in long term this standard. So we decided to ask to OASIS to consider our request. We take 2 years. There is Jim Cabral, is the chair of the LegalXML member section in OASIS, and help us to cope with the goal, but we take 2 years since now. So another motivation is we would like to enlarge the community, to extend the community, to disseminate our knowledge, to increase the number of pilot cases in order to make Argomantoso robust and useful for everybody. And finally, we would like to obtain the certification of international standard. OASIS, so why OASIS and what is OASIS? It's not non-profit consortium founded in 1993, open to all the stakeholders of the community, government, agency, academy, and so on. Mostly based in USA, but not only, also in Europe and Asia. And the governance is a bottom-up approach. So come from the members. Everything is decided from the members. It's so true that I was a member only 2 years ago, and now I'm promoting two technical committee with success inside of OASIS. This is a demonstration how is a bottom-up founded standardization body. Now we have inside of OASIS about 65 technical committees in a different domain. But there is a special group, very famous in the history of legal informatics, LegalXML community, started in 1998. It was the first in the world talking about legal and XML, very famous for us as a researcher. And in 2002, this part of OASIS became a member section with a budget autonomy of action. And we would like to enter inside of this membership section and ask it to enter in that. Okay, why OASIS and not others? All the TC members are equal participation rights. All the work are public, accessible by wiki. The non-members of OASIS can participate with a common list. So one critics that the people move us is why choose OASIS that need a membership to pay $1,100 for the public body. Why? To close the community. But again, it's not a closed community. We can collect any comments from the common list, and it's in our intention to start up immediately a network, a mailing list for collecting all the requirements that you need in order to improve Argomantoso. Again, IPR issue is one priority inside of OASIS for protect the individuals and the companies. But the results are open. And last but not least, the standard approved by OASIS is the first step for become a real top-level standard, ISO, like ISO. This is a process. The process is composed by several steps. It's a very serious organization, so we have a long period of assessment, of consensus building, of meeting and collection of requirements. So we can summarize a little bit the process in 4 steps. We start with the proposal. We discuss among the proposal inside of a TC, and we start from Argomantoso, plus your requirement, plus other best practice. For instance, coming from the success story of European and non-European parliaments. And after, when we are quite convinced of our proposal, we submit it to the public review. We take 30 days for collect comments And after, we refine the document, the standard, the specification, and when the specification really are ready, start really the final public review that take not 30 days, but 60 days. And after this, start the voting. The voting takes 30 days, and at the end, the proposal become a OASIS standard. So usually this process take 18 months, but we are confident because we have a lot of documentation ready. We have a specification, we have a schema, we have a pilot cases to reach our goal in 1 year. It's really a tough program, but this is our goal. Okay, today is my birthday, but it's also the birthday. Okay, no, not for that. But I'm so happy because it's the birthday of LegalXML TC. The name is English because the rules of OASIS imposed us to use the English name. Nevertheless, don't worry, we call the standard specification a commentoso. So we mention in every documentation LegalXML/commentoso. So join to us for this big challenge in order to include any requirement, any needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monica. We got about 10 minutes for questions, so I think what we'll do is just kind of answer them one at a time until we run out of time. Questions?
Yeah, Doro Francesco from VoteWatch EU. I have 2 questions directed at Antonio Esposito. First of all, congratulations for this great initiative that you are running through IPEX. It is great that if you manage to guide the parliaments to standardize the information so that it is provided in a more user-friendly to the citizens. My first question is a purely technical one. The survey that you have addressed the parliaments, are the results of this survey made public? Can we see what each of the parliaments answered to the questions that you addressed them? Yeah?
Actually, the text of the survey is public, is published both in the website of this conference and in the website of the IPEX and of the European Speakers Conference. The answers from the individual parliament chambers are not public.
Why not?
But for a simple reasons, because we haven't asked the individual parliaments to make publicly available their answers. But if there is an interest, I have already prepared for internal use of the IPEX board an Excel file with a synoptical view of all the answers to each questions from all the parliaments. And if we are authorized, I will make available this Excel file in the IPEX website, and I will let you know, of course, through the network around this conference. Thank you for your, because we didn't know if somebody was interested in such a detailed survey, but if there is an interest, I will try to get the authorization of all the parliaments participating in the survey.
Okay, thank you very much. We are more than interested, and I know a couple of other organizations in the member states of the EU who would be very interested to know what their parliaments answered, because it may be, I don't know, but my guess is that it may be a little bit of a difference between how the parliaments see themselves and how the parliamentary monitoring organizations in these countries see the parliaments. And maybe I was wondering whether at any point in this process you have also considered in involving the civil society organizations in these countries that monitor the activity of these parliaments to see how the beneficiaries of the data that the parliaments make available see these things. What is it exactly that the beneficiaries want from the parliaments, what type of information, in what format, and how this can be made better available to them. So have you considered and also sending, for example, a questionnaire to the parliamentary monitoring organizations, or involving them in any way in some sort of working groups or anything?
As you know, the European Speakers Conference and the IPEX, which acts on the basis of the political mandate of the Speakers Conference, are interparliamentary fora for cooperation. So they focus on cooperation among parliaments. And up to now, they concentrated on practice standard initiatives at parliamentary level. As I already, perhaps I already said before, when the IPEX board, the Global Center, and the ECPRD will start structured cooperation, we will consider as a second step the involvement of the civil society, of the academicians, and I'm convinced that your suggestions will be implemented unanimously.
Well, if I can just add something, the fact that they're bringing us in, it's already an indication of we're not a parliament, so interparliamentary cooperation is going to open up a little bit, in a way, I think, for academics, even the private business, I think, and also NGOs.
Jim Snyder from ISOLA. My question is to Monica. Why not use Acoma Natosa in the
Microphone?
OASIS group? And more generally, why not you demonstrate open government principles in how for the committee? So, as you know, I discussed with you before a few years ago, not your committee, but I tried to go to participate in some of the OASIS. I'm not a member. I haven't paid the money. And I thought it was actually very close to the public. I think the public comments are great, but maybe we should think of the public comments as sort of a minimal type of openness. I mean, I'd like to be able to watch the deliberations if it's something, because you get a sense of where people are coming from, what might be a realistic type of suggestion, and it's really hard, because my feeling is OASIS basically is actually pretty close if you're not a member. So anyway, the basic question is, why not demonstrate these open government principles in the operation of your committee? And maybe it'd be a great adaptation of Acoma and Toso to
So, thank you for the question. Our attitude is to set up a very open attitude to this TC. And I learned to GM this attitude because GM is the LegalXML member section chair, but he is also a chair of the technical committee of electronic court filing. And he set up several meetings open to the stakeholders in order to present the outcome and also to have some feedback and work together to the next version of the specification. So our attitude is to mix together, to have a mixed approach, to collect, to have meeting with the expert, with you, and like this, and the hand to collect and to report and recap this requirement inside. The unique problem that I see is an IPR issue. So all the people that would like to be involved, it's clear that we take this knowledge from you and put inside of the group, put inside of the standards. But apart of that, I learned from Jim this really mixed approach and very, let me say, unusual approach inside of OASIS. This is a way, this is a reason because I stressed a lot to open this TC inside of a LegalXML, because the approach is not an engineer approach like the other TC. is a very friendly, very open, very used to work with the legal people, with judge, with the parliament people. And please, if you would like to integrate something.
Thank you, Jim Cabral from OASIS and LegalXML. Just to set the, I know there are perceptions about how open OASIS is. There are a number of organizations, international standards organizations that are developing standards, and as Monica said, we all have to deal with the issues of intellectual property. So one of the reasons that people have to be members, they have to subscribe to the technical committees to actually contribute, is because of they have to basically agree to the intellectual property restrictions of those particular technical committees. As far as ways that people that are not members of OASIS can participate in the process, we have a variety of mechanisms for that. The most obvious one is the public review process, which we really can't say enough about that, because to advance the standard in any way, really, within OASIS, it requires always a public review. If there's any change to the specification, it goes out for another public review. And as Monica said, some of these reviews are fairly lengty. You know, when it becomes up for OASIS ballot for actual OASIS standard, that's a 60-day process of public review. Now, as a non-member of the committee, you don't necessarily have a vote into the specification. That's the one thing you're really kind of missing, but you do have plenty of opportunities to help contribute to it. As far as viewing the deliberations of the committee, all of the email discussions are all archived and available publicly.
Not only, but for such deliberations, there is a mailing list open. So case by case, but there is an open list that I can show you with all the deliberations stored in a repository. So again, traditionally, LegalXML in my heart is my home, because I started study 20 years ago, this legal domain, and is a unusual, atypical, let me say, technical committee, because it's very open to experts of the legal stakeholders. And we would like to follow this tradition with this TC.
Okay, well, so we close the question and answer part, but we want to dedicate some minutes to the to some of the conclusions of the day, I would think. And first of all, let me thank both presenters and wish happy birthday to Monica again.
Happy birthday to Legal
To LegalXML. Again, thank you. We went through 2 days, and before going to tomorrow half day, I would like to pick your brain. Although it's almost 6 o'clock, I know, but this is the best time to take you because you are tired. So, well, first of all, I don't know how many of you knows about the Global Center, but anyway, the Global Center is these initiatives between the IPU and the United Nations, and the idea is was to become a sort of a hub of ICT in Parliament in a way. We were probably too successful, and now we are in trouble, meaning that we know what's going on. We became a kind of a link to many initiatives and many things. And so it happens that we know of conferences, meetings, experts meetings, or issues that are almost happening, and we try to put everything together in a way that makes sense at the end of the day to all of us. Just to give you an example, in the last 2 days, first of all, we have this conference. This conference or this meeting, if you want, comes because of several reasons. We had already 4 World Parliament conferences, and in 3 of them, we spoke about open document standards. Then, of course, the U.S. House had the leadership of the U.S. House actually had this new policy in an open letter actually, and so we put together forces to organize this meeting. But I knew already that IPEX was also discussing the issue of open document standards, and IPEX was already hinting to me that Global Center could be useful in a way to generate more interest over the discussions in a way, or keep the discussion a little bit broader than only to IPEX. We also know, and we heard from Andrew Mandelbaum, I think that first of all, NDI and Sunlight Foundation, I think, if I'm missing something, please, reviewed the world of parliamentary monitoring organizations, and there is a nice book, a nice study. I made a mistake?
NDI and the World Bank Institute. We're hosting the upcoming conference with the Sunlight Foundation.
Yes. All right.
As well as others.
And there will be, anyway, there will be a conference, sorry for that. There will be a conference at the end of April here in Washington of these organizations. So here comes also the idea of having here in Washington now some of this organization and to create links to the conference. By the way, NDI and Sunlight Foundation extended invitations to us, so we'll be present in their conference as well. In April, speakers conference is also going to happen in Poland, so we hope that they are going to accept and I guess so, because Secretary General, it's going to be difficult for speakers to go against Secretaries General, I would think, so. We also know, and here I'm calling on Mr. Fabiani, that the European Parliament would like to follow up to this conference with another meeting in May, mid-May, end of May, we're still discussing, to go further with the idea of exchanging views and particularly tools on open document standards. We have heard also that the European Parliament is now going to adopt XML not only on amendments, but in extending to other tools. Well, with IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, who's not here today, but it will be tomorrow here, we were talking about training. Actually, they were talking about a training, and then we said, well, why don't we organize something together for Latin America parliaments? And apparently, hopefully, it's going to happen in June. We have an expression of, let's say, a kind expression of interest to be hosted in Brasilia, by the Chamber of Deputies of Brazil. So, just to give you an idea that what is happening in reality is a number of meetings, number of activities that if we put it all together, it's going to give us a lot of knowledge on these issues. Lastly, you may not know, but the Global Center every 2 years now has a World Parliament Conference. And so we are planning for September 2012, the World Parliament Conference. I won't tell you where, because I'm not officially mandated to tell you where. I kind of know, but...
Can we leak a rumor?
No, because it's recorded. but it's not going to take place in this part of the ocean, but on the other side of the ocean. Not in the one of the 27 European countries, but close by. And then we have expression of interest by other parliaments, by other people here also to continue this meeting. So all of this to say, we as Global Center and as would like to, normally what we do is not just a meeting. We would like to give continuity to things when we see that something is very useful. And I personally think that this meeting has been and is being, because it's still a meeting tomorrow, very useful in several ways. First, the exchange of information, tools, but also the interaction we had with civil society, with some of the private, if we want, private sector. Even the exchange among parliaments is not so, it's not a given normally. So I think there is room for further elaboration of this. Now, if you ask me on if there is a conclusion of this meeting, my only conclusion would be, for the moment, let's establish a working group that in a way is mirroring what the IPEX is going to, the Conference of Speakers is going to adopt, where there are terms of reference of this working group that is mainly driven by parliaments, and I say mainly because of the interparliamentary cooperation that is usual, but it's not only confined to Europe, and I think that this is going to be acceptable to IPEX, and with the additional comments that the working group will be encouraged to listen from civil society, from any type of organization. I mean, I don't want to say one parliamentary monitoring organization, private sector, any type of contribution, universities, of course, and research centers. This, to me, could be one outcome of this meeting. And if I look at the calendar, the European Parliament could be the one convening the next meeting in May in this kind of formats. Of course, the European Parliament we will be associated, but the European Parliament is a big parliament, so we will have discussion on also who the European Parliament would like to have at the meeting. But this is the idea, and this group would continue, not only stopping at the European Parliament, but also as IPEX, the IPEX board is, and the Conference of Speakers will request to continue this meeting. Now, what this group would do, I can give you my own ideas. One idea, I think, is that continue the exchange of information, particularly on tools, and I think the European Parliament placed it well when we met in Brussels, particularly on initiatives and on common projects eventually that could be available. Another point could be, and I think we listened yesterday on this discussion on benchmarking, on creating a checklist, on finding a way for parliaments, and I'm not talking here about the grades or notes that civil society will give to the institution, but something that parliaments internally can use as a checklist or as a benchmarking tool, so to make sure that they are going to the right direction in a way, but at the same time they can measure their success or their solutions. So that the working group could actually elaborate on that, in my opinion. Another thing is, as I said already, find a way to engage with other stakeholders. So now, how on a regular basis, that's something that the working group would do. I'm sure there are other things that certainly keep in contact with OASIS and with the technical committee on Acumantoso, because the working group should know what is happening, and then whoever wants to participate, of course, is free to participate. But I think that we should establish a regular contact with the OASIS technical committee on Acumantoso, just to be aware of what is happening. I stop here. These are only my ideas but I'm sure that the group has many other ideas, and if we can take 10 minutes really to start discussing this only really 10 minutes because I know it's late. And then tomorrow we go and come with new ideas and new topics that we could bring forward.
Comments? Anne?
Yeah, I'll be brave and say something. I think on the simplest level, some way that we could contact each other regularly. So when someone does implement a product they said is forthcoming today, that we could see it. I know that I belong to several organizations that have listservs. You know, there was the LegalXML, which I was a part of with several people here at some point, and there's the Open Document Knowledge Foundation, ODKN. They have a listserv for open legislation, but I think it would be more important to have this group here because most people here are internal or academic, and be able to keep in touch with each other. So something as simple as that would be very useful.
Something that came to my mind right now, it might be interesting to set up a sort of common platform to share experiences and also to list what each parliament is doing on XML and tools to manage legislative content so that everybody can see what's the status, can eventually get in touch with some of the parliaments if they need some more information.
I have another one, actually. I think the discussion yesterday was kind of eye-opener for me, at least. We were trying to discuss transparency, and in fact, many parliaments started from efficiency rather than transparency only. So one of the many, and I'm saying so because I think this working group, remember, I come from the United Nations, so my main clients, let's say, would be the rest of the world as well. And so something that other parliaments at any development level but could appreciate and understand clearly is that the use of open document standards could reduce cost, can improve efficiency, maybe at the same level of cost, something that was discussed yesterday. So having the group even preparing a compilation of, or I don't know whether it can be a compilation of case studies or their own, each one of you would say, this is my experience. We had already some hints. That would be very helpful to other parliaments to say, well, we always say XML is good for many reasons, but then if we can prove to other parliaments that these reasons are also cost reduction, I think it would help a lot.
Sir?
Yeah, thank you. We've talked mostly about national governments, and I work a lot with smaller governments, municipalities, states, et cetera. And I think this conversation would be very beneficial to them, and it would spread standardization. And yet they need training, they need resources. So perhaps the next time we gather together, building in some time and resources to do video interviews with governments using standards or perhaps presenting on them, or other founders of standardization projects to explain them would be a fantastic resource to put up on the web so they can learn at their own pace. And we're trying to contribute to that a bit at Knowledge is Power by hosting a training the day after the summit ends, actually, on Nakano and Toso. But I'd like to see more of that, and if there's some way that we can reach a bit of scale in terms of getting more resources out there to governments.
And I have to apologize, I forgot in the list that there is actually the day after tomorrow a training run by Knowledge as Power on XML and Accomatoso in particular. Just one more ideas and then I shut up really. The Global Center, for you to know, it's 2.5 people more or less, maybe 3.5 now. And so if the group is established, I'm counting on at least a couple of parliaments to help us running. So, and then we'll discuss how IPEX or things are done. But, so I don't want to say, but certainly cannot be on the shoulder of the Global Center only. And as well, because we are not a parliament, so we really need parliaments to be driving this effort.
Daniel?
So 2 additional things come to mind in addition to the already really good suggestions that have been mentioned. One might be putting together some sort of recommendations or a list of lessons learned from what's happened over yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Some of the particular issues that we've identified. I mean, there was one that sort of stands out to me in particular, which is how do parliaments better engage NGOs? And there are other questions that have arisen as well. So even if we haven't necessarily reached conclusions, sort of identifying the process that we went through for those who weren't able to be here today. And the second suggestion, and Andrew has suffered through this in the report that he just put out recently, but looking at both best and divergent practices of parliaments and those who encourage parliaments to do their work, the PMOs, as a way of trying to figure out areas of agreement, areas where there is particular expertise in taking steps forward, and things along those lines.
Andrew Mandelbaum from NDI. I would just add that there are some sort of ready-made opportunities for parliaments, MPs, staffers, people in the parliamentary development community, PMOs, et cetera, to sort of engage on the web. And one, that we're involved with, along with the UN, World Bank, and others, is the Agora web portal for parliamentary developments. It's agora-parl.org. And it has sort of social networking features, so we can all, congratulate everybody for having birthdays and things like that. But it also allows you to sort of share what your parliament is doing. You can sort of have discussion groups on specific topics, and it's a way to engage and to sort of let other people in far-off places know sort of what you're up to. So that could be a easy way to move forward as well.
Okay, under my point of view, concerning LegalXML, the new initiative, usually we need, hopefully, to have a face-to-face meeting of the technical committee in some place. So I suggest strongly to join this event with such event promoted by UN in order to make in practice the declaration before, to open the debate to the stakeholders, to the real people that work in the parliaments, give to the community occasion to participate in the TC face-to-face annual meeting jointly.
Okay, thank you. We're going to let you go. You look tired. Just one reminder, I've been monitoring the weather. The hope is that it won't rain till a little later in the morning. So if you would like to participate in the group picture, we plan to meet at 8:30 on the steps outside the house here. And hopefully Keith will be able to take a couple quick pictures of us, and we'll be able to get those out to everyone, okay? Thanks for coming today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.